Now to our first topic of the day. The Nigerian Labour Congress has demanded an immediate reversal of the recent hike in petrol prices, highlighting the negative impact on both citizens and the economy. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited had raised the pump price of fuel from 897 naira to 1,030 naira per litre in Abuja, and from 885 naira to 998 naira in Lagos. In reaction, the NLC President Joe Ajero expressed dismay over the government's persistent trend of increasing fuel prices without offering sufficient support or relief to the public. Meanwhile, the federal government announced on Friday that petroleum marketers can now purchase fuel directly from local refineries, including the Dangote refinery. This decision marks the end of the NNPC Limited's exclusive purchase agreement with Dangote refinery, enabling marketers to negotiate prices directly with refineries. Energy expert and chairman of International Energy Services Limited, Dr. Diran Fawibe, now joins me for a chat on these recent developments within the Nigerian oil and gas sector. Good afternoon, good day, Dr. Fawibe. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Now, on May 29, President Tinubu told us fuel subsidy is gone. Now, in the week that just passed, we were told that, it's just now that fuel subsidy has disappeared and there has been final deregulation in the downstream sector. NNPC Limited says, look, we are operating a willing buyer, willing seller market. Anybody that so feels can go and buy their fuel from anywhere. Okay? Now they say they will not be the sole off-taker anymore. IPMAN, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, is complaining that it looks like NNPC Limited has thrown them a curveball. And then the other parties in the game say, this is now market forces. After all, market forces determined the price of kerosene, the price of diesel, the price of aviation jet fuel. And that now fuel, petrol, has reached a point where it is market forces. What do you think? Nigerians are saying these market forces that will be suffocating Nigerians. Now we have to pay more. Inflation will go up. Hardship has increased. What do you think, Dr. Fawibe?
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers. Actually, it's unfortunate that we are in a state of confusion as regards the price of fuel in the country. The president, President Tinubu, came out openly when he was sworn in as the president of Nigeria to announce the death of fuel subsidy. And that, of course, triggered the introduction of market forces as determinants of fuel price in the country. Because before that time, government used to fix the prices of petroleum products, particularly PMS, to ensure that it did not go overboard, just like the price of diesel or kerosene. But since that time, over the past 18 months, there has been a lot of changes in the price of PMS. And unfortunately, I will say this, the price adjustment, price increases have not been managed properly. Now, today, we have just heard that NNPC has increased the price of fuel, to over 1,000 naira. And it's coming at a time when Nigerians felt that with the coming on stream of Dangote refinery, indeed, the price of fuel should be going down as against what used to be the imported fuel before. Because, and I was one of the advocates, I was one of the champions that competition will determine the price of fuel, and the price will be going down as a result of competition. But that has not been the case. what has actually gone wrong. Now, I've had a lot of discussions, and some of them tending to confuse the whole issue of the price of fuel setting in Nigeria. But the question I used to ask is that the price we are having now for PMS, is it actually competitive? Competitive in relation to what should be the price of fuel or PMS in Nigeria. Now, we could argue that in relation to the import parity price of fuel. In other words, the price we are paying locally for PMS, should that be the price we should normally be getting the product, when we are importing and so on. Let me go back to, let me explain what I mean. Ordinarily, we should be able to determine, what the price of fuel should be ordinarily. Now, the methodology I feel that probably should have been adopted over time is that it's similar to what we used to do many, many years ago. And I was one of the participants in this exercise. We would take a benchmark crude, like we used to take Saudi Arabian light crude, 34 degrees API, and use this as a marker crude. Then we will be relating, we will break down the crude oil, a barrel, and look at the characteristics, the chemical properties, and then what should this crude oil be fetching in the market if we translate it into product. Now, if we take, we then relate other crudes, to this marker crude. Like, for example, when I sell Nigerian crude, I will be selling about 35 crudes in the world market. I will be relating the price of Nigerian crude, the price of Kuwaiti crude, Iranian crude, Venezuelan crude to this marker, and I will be able to determine what should be the price.
Dr. Fawibe, there are some people who have argued that all this reference to international spot price, or OPEC prescription, OPEC plus prescription, in terms of production, should not apply to us in Nigeria. And that goes to the root of the argument, the original argument about subsidy. That is Brent crude, the finest blend of crude in the world, is from here. That, in fact, the Nigerian government, if it so wishes, can sell crude, at very cheap price to make Nigerians enjoy the benefit of what flows in their father's backyard. But we are hearing IMF, World Bank, OPEC Plus, platform, spot price. No, Nigerians are saying no. Let us enjoy what we have. Why are we always quoting IMF said this, World Bank said this, Platt said this, neighboring countries have this price?
I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. First of all, OPEC, let me take OPEC for example. OPEC cannot dictate to Nigeria what price it should sell products within the country. It's not within the purview of OPEC. OPEC set prices or agree with member countries on what should be the price of member countries in various markets. That's the end of story. So in terms of what the price we sell Nigerian product, PMS or diesel or whatever in Nigeria, is strictly an affair of Nigerian government and the companies selling oil in Nigeria. IMF, maybe for the fact that IMF has some advisory role about for Nigerian government, they can influence directly or indirectly, not that they can dictate to Nigerian government the price at which we should sell the products in Nigeria. So let us clear that. In terms of people who feel that we should be selling Nigerian oil at giveaway prices, it may not work out that way for two reasons. First of all, we have local refiners now, refining, and they have to sell. They have to recover. They have to refine the crude, and turn to product at a price that they will still be able to cover their costs and make decent return on their investment. What do I mean by this? The feedstock for product for petrol is crude oil. It has to be at a price. At what price is the refiner getting the product, getting the crude oil? So this will be the first item. So if they are now, except government say that, oh, Nigerians should enjoy the benefit of crude oil being produced in Nigeria, and they give the crude oil to a refiner at giveaway price, so that will be the decision of government. But in fact, we could easily say that let us make we could treat such refiners as throughput refinery, whereby we can take crude, a marketer can take crude to the refinery and say, process this crude for me, and then the refiner will charge processing fee, and then we'll take the product back. Because I suggested this to one marketer some years ago, that instead of making noise, why don't you take crude from any producer and take it to a refinery, get it processed, and pay refining fee, and then bring the products back, and you incur all the costs, and let us see what the price will be as against what NNPC was importing.
Dr. Fawibe, there are some people today who do not believe that fuel subsidy is gone, who believe that the Nigerian government is lying to the Nigerian people and that there will still be subsidy. Do you think that this is truly the commencement of a regime of deregulation in the downstream sector? And how?
Well, I'm not privy to government policy. I could only read government policy in terms of what we are getting from NNPC or wherever. For example, you will have read about a few days ago that NNPC is owing about $15 billion naira to marketers, of petroleum products. Okay, who has been absorbing some of the increases in the price of fuel? You remember at the time that President Tinubu came to power, what was the level of product prices at that time, and what was the level of prices as today? Now it's only in recent times that Nigerian consumers are made to pay the actual price at the pump, whereby whatever the landed cost of the fuel, then somebody out there has been bridging that gap. Who has been bridging that gap? So I'm not here to say whether government has been lying or subsidy is not gone, but the fact remains that the price of fuel that we are paying in Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned, is not competitive. Not competitive in the sense that if we are able to determine the price of fuel, we should be open, we should be transparent in the way that we are determining the price, whether by NNPC or any importer for that matter. If we are open the books, simply because we want to have Nigerians to benefit from lower prices of oil, then we should be able to come to that conclusion. And the argument and confusion that we currently have will not be there. But as it is now, I would say that government has to do something, and pretty fast. Because, for example, I know part of the problem has been the foreign exchange that has been doing yo-yo, and then influencing the jacking up of product prices. So when we have this factor, as a major factor influencing the price of fuel, government has to do something. And that will mean that government has to find a way, either, for example, the issue of price subsidy has come to stay, but government has to do a trade-off in terms of using fiscal system to be able to reduce certain things, certain costs that have gone into fixing the price of oil. For example, I believe that even currently, the imported fuel to Nigeria is attracting taxes. So if government wants to make Nigerians comfortable, why shouldn't government be able to use customs or give directive to custom to change some of the rate of taxes being charged on petroleum products coming into Nigeria. Okay, for local refiners, why shouldn't government be able to influence the rate of excise duties being paid by these local refiners with a view to bringing down the price of fuel? So at the end of the day, you now use fiscal arrangement to be able to reduce the cost without necessarily removing subsidy.
Okay, Dr. Fawibe, you are saying that there are measures, steps that the Nigerian government can take to make sure that the fuel price is not as expensive as it is now, and to also prevent, agitations by organized labor, because organized labor is now saying it's giving the federal government a directive to reverse the fuel price hike. What do you think of the role of labor in this?
Well, you see, for one thing, labor union has been responsible for part of the problem we are having. I'm sorry to say this, because since 1990s, labor union has used the price of fuel hike, the hike in the price of fuel, as a weapon. Maybe I'm being overcritical by saying that they have used it as a weapon to emphasize their relevance in the political system. Now, if we had been able to adjust the price of fuel over time on a gradual basis, now the situation we are having today would not have been gargantuan as we are currently having. You remember the time of the late president of Labor Union, Kokori of blessed memory, Frank Kokori. And even when Adam Oshiomhole was there, they were bent on not allowing adjustment in the price of oil. President Obasanjo at that time engaged on a countrywide campaign for appropriate pricing of oil, but that was not to be. And government at times, when they look at the political terrain, they will quickly shrink back from implementing the adjustment needed. So the labor union now we have now postponed the evil day. This is the moment of truth. The judgment day has now come, and then when we are now taking the adjustment, at a time, at this point in time, it's making it so big that Nigerians are now suffering. If we have been adjusting gradually over the past 20 or 25 years, the situation would not be as serious as this. So now that labor union is saying they should reverse and reverse and reverse, I'm not too sure whether the present government will accede to that. But like I said, government can still do a number of things to make sure that the price does not escalate. Now, if we are talking of 1,030 naira, and some people are saying that, the price of crude oil will go up as a result of the crisis in the Middle East, which normally used to be the case. If we are now reflecting that increase, in the price of crude oil that starts at the feedstock, it means that the price of 1,030 naira per liter may even be more than that, if we are relying on market forces. So unless government steps in a very critical way, then I'm afraid the situation may be getting out of hand, and government cannot afford to open its eyes and allow this situation to continue like this.
Okay, the same social consequences that President Muhammadu Buhari talked about when he granted an interview to Bloomberg, and on the basis of which he refused to activate the Petroleum Industry Act. Now, you've been talking about what the Tinubu government can do to save the situation, to prevent those social consequences from going overboard. What will you advise President Tinubu to do? Should he present Nigerians with a fairer complaint? Should he be enjoying his so-called working vacation from London to Paris while there is tension, insecurity, energy instability in Nigeria? What will you advise him in specific terms to do?
For one thing, the vacation of the president will end very soon. I believe he will be here during this new week. So he cannot, because of the situation now, run back. 2 weeks is not too much for a president that has been facing so much.
No, you can
challenge.
take 1 month. You can take 2
yes,
months.
No. So
he
I
only
believe,
needs to transmit power.
No, I believe he will soon be here. So he will then be able to attend to some of the issues. Now, in terms of what you expect him to do, now I would say that he has set up a committee headed by the Federal Minister of Finance and Coordinating Economy.
A technical subcommittee.
Yes,
they call it.
Yes, technical subcommittee. And now I would expect that they will have to take a beat. I'm not prescribing for them in terms of the economic model they are operating, but they have to beat a bit of classical economics and Keynesian economics in terms of using monetary policy and fiscal policy to re-examine some of the principles with a view to tweaking some of the policies they are currently undertaking to reduce some of the challenges that we are having in the country. To leave things like this, I would say the president should not allow that to continue. Secondly, the issue of fuel subsidy, like I said, has come to stay. When you have the sequencing of policies in terms of removal of subsidy, the floating of the naira, and so on, now those two policies form the principal platform for this presidency. Now, but along the line, you have to be able to see what measures you can take to reduce the incidence of these policies on the prices of products, cost of living, and so on. I'm not want to recognize some of the efforts being made, like for example, deploy a lot of resources for CNG to reduce transportation and so on. But fundamentally, I still believe that we have to go back to the first principle of determining the competitiveness of the price of products being imported to the country or being produced in the country. Can a local refiner say that, oh, the price of my fuel is 800 naira per liter or 900 naira per liter, and we just swallow that hook, line, and sinker? I don't believe it should be. I'm not saying the people who are in charge are not doing their work, but let us go to the first principle and determine the competitiveness of this product, not just to be price takers from the local refiners and even the importers, because a situation where some people are out there in London charging premium on imported fuel to Nigeria and in the process escalating the cost of fuel is totally unacceptable to people of this country. And if we have a patriotic people in government, they should be able to re-examine this, because when we face a critical situation like this, we start to question the status quo. What has been the practice and what can we do to make things easier for ordinary Nigeria? Because the president is under pressure now, and he must do something fast, to ensure that, things are normalized, for Nigerians.
Well, Dr. Fawibe, by way of summary, if I understood you very well, you are saying that there is a lot that is wrong with the downstream sector in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
That the president personally has to intervene to address, to avoid the chaos, the creeping chaos, the criminal instability in the energy sector that we're looking at, that is staring us in the face. After all, the whole issue is about energy security and also addressing the interests of average Nigerians. We, the long-suffering people of Nigeria, who find it now very difficult, to buy petrol to take us from one place to another. All the other arguments about whether, we are not paying enough and all that. People are saying, government should do what it has to do to make life easier. After all, the responsibility of government is the security and welfare of the people under the 1999 Constitution. Do you agree?
I quite agree with you that government has responsibility to alleviate the suffering of the people, and every man on the street, and everybody on the street. When you talked about the hardship in the country, is the issue of hiking the price of fuel and so on. Even farming, this and that. Even people who refuse to go and work, sleeping in their houses, and they are saying even farming. So it's part of this thing. But however, if government is seen to be doing something, especially on the price of fuel, people will actually be responsive, appreciate what the government is doing. So government cannot run away from its obligation. I believe the current president is doing whatever he could to be able to alleviate the suffering. But he has to take extraordinary measures as far as the price of fuel is concerned to ensure that the effect that is having on the cost of living for Nigerians is very much minimized.
Well, on that note, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Diran Fawibe, for joining me on this Live This Sunday Talk Show today.